What the am I going to do? You see, I ordered this corset to wear to Gov Ball. However, it ended up being super ugly. And instead of going to Gov Ball on Sunday, I'm going tomorrow. So I have to finish this today. I really have my work cut out for me. Here's the plan. I want to make my corset look like this. However, the biggest thing that I am missing are these dangling gemstones in the front. So that's the first thing I had to make today. In order to make this, I had to do something a little different because I couldn't just glue on the rhinestones. First, I had to combine these two gemstones to create the little dangles and repeated this process 20 times. Once that was done, I started gluing them to the bottom hem of the corset. And initially, I tried making a pattern with these circular rhinestones, but ended up hating it, so I had to tear them off and try again. This time, I used the square ones, and I think it looks way better. After I finished, I was shocked because that made a huge difference. It really brought it all together. Now, all that's left to do for the front part was to fill up the empty space near the bottom hem and a little bit more on the sides. And after doing that, front is all done. Actually, I quickly realized the empty space at the front of the straps looked kind of awkward with no gems, so I decided to last minute bedazzle them as well. However, I was starting to feel a little too confident and decided to not use the tweezers. And of course, burnt myself pretty badly in the process. This time though, I wasn't lying because now it's actually all done. Time to start on the back. Instead of fully bedazzling the back like I did with the front, I decided to switch it up. Mainly because I simply did not have enough rhinestones to fill up the entire thing, but I also didn't have enough time. So instead, I just evenly spaced them out. And before I knew it, the clock struck 10:56. And I had officially finished making this corset. I truly couldn't believe it. And thankfully it's just in time for tomorrow. Now I have to figure out how to style this. So I messed up. I got challenged to make a dress completely out of concealer tubes and it is not going so well because the entire thing is falling apart. And I need to protect my reputation of being able to turn anything into an outfit. So let's try our best to fix this thing. There were two major problems. Number one, the bottom jump rings were falling apart. And number two, the top looked awkward because the concealers weren't perfectly aligned. I decided to tackle problem number one first by drilling holes into the bottom instead of hot gluing the jump rings on. And yes, in hindsight, I know that was really stupid of me, but hey, you live and you learn. Anyways, after fixing that, I realized that to solve problem number two, I also had to re-drill the top. You see, the reason it didn't line up perfectly is because I used two jump rings when I should have only used one. So once again, I found myself drilling for hours to remake every single concealer pendant. But in the middle of it, I suddenly started coughing a lot and realized that I actually forgot to wear my protective gear, which meant that I was inhaling all of the dust. But once I put my mask on, I instantly felt better and finished making all of the pendants. I then reattached them to the chain and did this over and over again until I had something that kind of resembled a top. Oh, and if you thought I stopped there, that's where you are dead wrong. Because I decided that I was also going to make a skirt. Well, that was until my plan failed miserably again. I tried to super glue the concealer together to form chains to make into a skirt, and it immediately fell apart. Are we even surprised at this point? Anyways, instead of panicking, I decided to scrap the skirt entirely and make a matching concealer belt. And thank God I pivoted because it actually came out looking really cool. I was so relieved that I somehow managed to save this outfit. But it is too soon to celebrate because I haven't tried it on yet, and who knows if it will fall apart. So let's try it on and find out. I am so screwed. I have only 3 days to rhinestone this entire bodysuit because I'm going to a Sabrina Carpenter concert and forgot to make my outfit. However, to make things even worse, I'm flying to LA today, which means I will need to complete this DIY while traveling. I honestly don't know if I'll be able to do this, but I will try my best. Here's the plan. I wanted to make one of her iconic rhinestone bodysuits, specifically this blue one. However, my flight was at 6 a.m., so that means I had no time to DIY in the morning. Instead, I packed all of my DIY essentials and started bedazzling on the plane. Did I look a little bit insane bedazzling a bodysuit at 6 a.m. in the morning on a freaking airplane? Yes. Did I care? No, because there was no time to waste. And even though I was exhausted from only having 3 hours of sleep, I refused to take a break and work throughout the entire flight. Funnily enough, I actually caught the attention of many of the flight attendants, and at first they were very confused at what the hell I was doing. But after explaining to them about the tight deadline for the concert I was going to, they gave me many words of encouragement and started checking up on me every hour to see how much progress I've made. It was only thanks to them that I was able to push through my sleep deprivation and continue to bedazzle. And before I knew it, 6 hours flew by and I landed in LA. Then it was time for me to go to my Airbnb. And when I saw that I was about an hour drive away, I whipped out my bodysuit and bedazzled the entire way there too. This was definitely a lot harder though, because bumpy car rides and rhinestoning do not go well together. And by the time I arrived at my Airbnb, I was exhausted. So I decided to take a break. Just joking, there was no time to rest. I continued to bedazzle all throughout the night until 2 freaking a.m. in the morning. And at this point, I could hardly keep my eyes open, so I really had to stop this time. But look at how much progress I made. In just one day, I managed to complete about 1/3 of the bodysuit. But now that means there's only 2 days left until the concert. So let's hope I can finish this thing in time. I've been keeping a huge secret. You see, I'm going to brunch with my best friend Sophie, and I'm not telling her what I'm wearing wondering to see if she will show up in an outfit just as crazy as mine. This is the third day of working on my Christmas tree dress, and it's honestly looking not bad. However, it is kind of falling apart, and our brunch is tomorrow, so I only have tonight to fix it. So let's get started. After a good night of sleep, I awoke the next day and thought of a solution. I could fortify the waistband by using safety pins. However, in order to actually see what we were working on, we did have to take the skirt apart a little bit. Now that we had an unobstructed view, I lifted the skirt up as Samia pinned the safety pins through the chicken wire and into the waistband. And we kept doing this until there was no more room to pin. I will admit the skirt was looking rough, but all of a sudden I had hoped that I might just be able to pull this off. So after we reconnected the garlands that we initially took off, it was time to decorate the tree. We first started by zip tying a bunch of ornaments to ensure that I would stay on. After that, it was time to put on the ribbons. However, they arrived extremely crumpled, and I wasn't about to put these on my Christmas tree. So we had to use straighteners to bring them back to life, and just look at that difference. Once they looked presentable, I hot glued them to the tree. And finally, for the last step, we had to put on Christmas lights. So we quickly wrapped them all around the skirt, and ta-da! The dress was all done. Wow, this dress was the most beautiful thing that I've ever made. I loved it so much. With the dress now completed, all that's left for me to do is try this thing on and wear it to brunch. Let's just hope it doesn't fall apart. Guys, it is finally time to figure out what the heck Sophie is up to. All I know is that I have to dress up in a certain color. I chose pink. So let's get ready for Coachella day 2. Guys, look at the skirt. So good. Oh my God, you guys, look at the set. I told you it looks even better on. What did I say? Now let's accessorize. I have a bunch of really cool pieces, but I'm gonna put on your guys' favorite item first, this arm cuff. Ooh, look at her. Perfect. I'm also gonna layer on this little butterfly belt. I'm also gonna layer on some chain belts just because it's looking a little bit plain. And you guys already know that we don't do plain over here. Both my bag and my boots have pearls, so I'm also gonna layer on these pearl bracelets. And then I also have this pearl hand chain that I think is literally perfect for this outfit. I can't believe I almost forgot earrings, but I have these little guys that I think would go perfectly. Okay, so I did make a mistake. I thought I was gonna put green ribbon in my hair, hence why I have green eyeshadow, and I didn't end up doing that. So I'm gonna add some green accessories just to bring the look a little bit more together. I also thought of a genius idea. I could put this and tie a little ribbon around my bag just to make it a little bit more cohesive. Cute. I like that. All that's left to add now are my shoes, and look, they have pearls on them too. It's perfect. Also, Sophie told me that once I'm finished getting dressed to meet her outside, and then she will finally tell me what she's been planning. Here's the final outfit. I am feeling so incredibly cute right now. Still feeling a little bit ill, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm really hoping that I can power through the day, and I'm just excited to find out what the heck is going on. I blocked my best friend. You see, me and Sophie are having a joint birthday party where the theme is to dress up as crazy as possible. So we are once again surprising each other with our outfits. I've decided to make a birthday cake dress, and we are almost done making this thing. The only thing that's left to do is to frost the cake. This was a step that would make or break this project, so I knew I couldn't mess this up. So in order to prevent this, I traced out the pattern with chalk beforehand so that it would make it look a lot neater. And when I tell you, as soon as I started frosting it, this cake dress instantly started to come to life. It was starting to look like a real cake. Me and Samia also got into frosting flow state where I would frost one section and she would help spin it. And we were making a lot of progress fast. But we did move too fast in some spots and had to scrape it off and do it all over again. However, that ended up being the least of our worries because we soon ran into another huge problem. I severely underestimated the amount of wall spackling I would need and only bought 2 buckets, so I had to run out and get 12 more. But once I had enough, I frosted this cake for 6 hours straight. And before it completely dried, I also added some pearls and cherries to really pull it all together. And that was it. The cake was all done. As I stared at it, I realized that I was missing something. It needed more frosting. So I first added a bottom border because it looked really unfinished. And then to make my life even harder, I decided that I wanted pink frosting too. And I layered that with the white frosting to fill in all of the empty space. Oh, and while I was doing this, I also managed to somehow cut myself. I have no idea how. But unfortunately, this is not where the chaos ends because it was now 4 a.m. and I was still not happy with how it looked. So I decided to pipe out 60 teeny tiny hearts, waited for them to dry, and glued them on one by one around the entire cake. And with my very last ounce of energy, I managed to finish it. I was so proud of myself and was honestly shocked at how beautiful this cake turned out, considering the not so ideal circumstances. But then I realized that I was still forgetting something. I was so sleep deprived that I never made my headpiece or my shoes. The worst part is that I have to finish everything tomorrow. So wish me luck.